Bo, let's talk about what's really the hottest news right now in the college football world, which I would say is the spring transfer portal.
Huh.
This is open from the 16th, starting last week, to Friday the 25th. So, as you could imagine with anything in college football, it's things are happening so fast. I'm sure no one contacted any of these schools before the portal window opened. They just knew like 2 days later where they wanted
Yeah,
to go.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's just kind of a chaotic period right now. The Nico Iamaleava situation has I guess finalized at UCLA. His
Finally.
brother's coming with him to UCLA too, so whole family reunion they got going on there. But yeah, so the big news, I think, I guess we start with the bad news, start with the good news.
Um, I guess we can start with the outgoing guys.
Let's start with the outgoing guys, because you called it, man. On this podcast like a week
Dude,
ago, you were just like, Nitro Tuggle, doubt he ever plays another game for Georgia, or whatever you said. And
yeah,
Nitro Tuggle hit the portal. He's gonna end up at Purdue. Branson Robinson hit the portal, which he's one of those. I feel like he'll be called a bust, in Georgia circles, but he just can never stay healthy. I feel like you saw the ability at times, but the guy just
oh
never could
yeah,
stay healthy. So we'll see where he ends up. Then Chris Peel announced today uh, that he's going to the portal, the defensive back, and then Marcus Easley, the other one, along with Nitro Tuggle, that got in a little legal trouble recently. He's also going to hit the portal. So that's all I have, right? Those four, I think that's all that's hit the
yeah,
portal.
yeah. On the guys on scholarship, at least.
So what are your thoughts on those four? Anything
Um,
you got to add?
I mean, Tuggle and Easley, are guys that I think you could kind of see that from a mile away after the way that things went down. Especially, I mean, both of them were doing dumb things. Don't get me wrong. Tuggle was going 107 on the Athens 10 loop, which is never a good idea. But man, Marcus Easley drove into a house. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
you're,
just driving
you're not
100 is
coming
much
back to
more
practice after that.
understandable.
Like that. I mean, I don't mean to keep going on and on about how bad it is, because I really don't. I mean, it's like it's a college kid who's made stupid decisions. We've all been there, but like,
Yeah.
dude, like, I don't know. So it's just a really unfortunate way for those two guys' careers at Georgia to end, because they're both very talented players, and I have no doubt that they can still grow up a little bit, mature, learn from their mistakes, and have very good football careers. But it's just unfortunate that it won't be at Georgia, and I hope the best for them, and I hope that they don't do anything like that again. I hope that they learn from this. Nitro Tuggle, I'm pretty bummed about, man. I mean, that was one of the dudes that, as a freshman, I feel like had a lot of hype coming in. Cool name, really cool skill set. Like,
Definitely a
I mean,
cool name.
he's a guy that they liked a lot. He got on the field a pretty good bit second half of the season. I know he only caught 3 passes on the year, or however many it was, but he was getting snaps, and it was you could kind of see that they were trending in a certain direction with him, and it's just very unfortunate that it ended up the way it did.
Yeah, and especially since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, like those guys that are kind of the lower level recruits in the class, that especially then, and I think Nitro's one that kind of like rose up the rankings kind of after he committed to Georgia. He might have ended up as a 4-star, right? But he wasn't. He was kind
Yeah,
of
he was a
I think
four
he was.
star at
Yeah, I
the
want to
end.
say it was kind of like a 3-star, kind of
Yeah,
unknown when he
he's
first
from
committed.
yeah, he's from Indiana, and he had to rise up a little bit. He's not from a football hotbed or anything. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
Georgia's
I think
track record.
I,
Georgia,
I think he's one of those
yeah,
guys who had more eyes on him once he committed to Georgia.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And Georgia's track record with those kind of guys is just so good that's one
Mhm.
reason I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna say I ever drove 100 on the loop. I know I've hit 90 on the loop, so it's like I have some
Yeah, like I get
understanding
it,
for
man.
that. The Marcus Easley that's some extraordinary bad decision making.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that. But yeah, Branson Robinson, curious to see where he ends up. Obviously, none of these guys can end up in the SEC next year.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting what happens there. But the gains, the good news in the transfer portal, which I've never really seen this, just 3 guys announced all at the same time,
Yeah,
is
it
just a
was weird.
very interesting way of breaking the news.
I guess they wanted to make it nice and easy for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to land anyone else out of the portal, just because the way these 3 guys were announced immediately.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Bo Atkinson, the North Carolina transfer, start to get some predictions to Ohio State. But yeah, so Georgia gets Elo Madozi, the outside linebacker, edge rush from Army.
Army.
Joshua McCray, the running
Right.
back from Illinois, and then are they? Did I write that down? They're
Jo-
both Joshua. Okay, I was wondering if I was worried I wrote that down.
Josh Horton from
And then Josh Horton, the last one from Miami. So what are your immediate thoughts when it comes to some of these transfer portal guys?
Yeah, I mean, none of them. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and act like I know a lot about many of these guys' games, but I do remember reading something when Branson Robinson hit the portal that I forget which article it was, but whichever article it was, freaking called it, man, because they were like the bottom second paragraph of it was like, oh yeah, and Illinois running back Josh McCray is a target in the portal for Georgia. I remember reading that and being like, that's an oddly specific thing to say. And then he actually committed like 3 days later. I think Elo Madozi is the one that I'm probably most excited about, not because I know a ton about his game or anything, but just because outside linebacker, man. I mean, we talked about it last week or maybe the week before. Like, that group is looking really rough. They just don't have a lot of bodies there after, you have Jalen and Michael going to the draft, Chaz Chambliss graduating / going to the draft, Damon Wilson transferring. Like, they just needed guys in that room. So I think it's a positive no matter what to just get another guy there, regardless of, how productive of a player he ends up being. And yeah, same thing. Like, I mean, Josh McCray. The one thing that I hope doesn't happen is do you remember Lynette Whitehead?
Oh, of course.
I hope this is the Tennessee
Athens Academy, I believe.
Yeah, Athens Academy, Tennessee transfer who transferred to Athens and then disappeared into thin air. So I would like to see that not happen with Josh McCray. I'd like to see him get a carry in a Georgia uniform this time. But yeah,
that's a little bit specific of a transfer, though. I don't even think he had a scholarship. Lynette Whitehead.
Did he? Oh no, yeah, you're right. He didn't. But that's just what I remember, like a late season transfer running back edition from a Power 5 school or Power 4 school, Power 2 really nowadays. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he never played. So I hope that doesn't happen with Josh McCray. But yeah, that's another guy. They needed another guy there because, yeah, Branson Robinson transferring, Roger Garbinson is not a guy that they can really rely on given his health history. So yeah, I'm excited about all these guys. Josh Horton, another addition for that D-line group. That's another group that needed some new guys there after losing Stackhouse and Brinson. So I think if anything else, these are 3 positions that Georgia needed to address, and it's a good thing that they went out there and did that.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's Trevor Etienne. It feels a little closer to Trevor Etienne, right? Kind of a guy who's like a co-leading rusher at his previous school, but not as productive as Etienne and Montrell Johnson were for Florida. But I think people can sometimes read too much into transfers when it comes to Kirby Smart teams, because I think Kirby Smart is like the I guess not anti-Dabo when it comes to the portal, because he's not like Mike Norvell or something over here, Lane Kiffin, but I think when people try to read between the lines when teams take transfers, and Madozi, that's definitely a huge need, that edge rush position. But I think Kirby Smart will take a transfer if it makes them 1% better. If it's like their 4th or 5th defensive lineman is now a little bit better, that makes the team better. And it doesn't like Josh McCray could be Georgia's best running back next year. He could also be like the 3rd or 4th running back, and Kirby just feels better about the 3rd or 4th running back now, which is a guy with experience. So I don't necessarily know that these were all positions of weakness. Like, I think I was starting to feel better and better about the running back position, But I think when it comes to Kirby, he's like, yeah, but we could get a guy that's got like some like starter experience. Yeah, that makes our team better immediately. And if someone beats him out, like they beat out a really good player. But I think that's one thing that was missing last year, obviously, among other things in this run game. But was Frazier and Etienne are just kind of the same style back. Like every duo that Kirby's had is you had kind of the power guy and then the speed, the finesse guy. You know, maybe you had Sony and Chubb, but you just kind of both could do both, and that's really good. Yeah, but Holyfield, you know, more that, you know,
Swift,
hard runner, Swift, more the side to side, shifty guy. So you've seen a lot of that. So this dude, 6'1", 245, they list him at, like he's a bowling ball. So for that to go with, yeah, so him to go with Nate Frazier, had a big bowl game performance against South Carolina, over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I really like what that could potentially do. Just another option back there.
Bruiser. That's kind of what they needed with Robinson out and the other Robinson probably out. Is you need a bigger guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
I agree with Will Walker is kind of the bigger guy, but I mean that's a true or a red shirt. No, true freshman.
He's a true freshman.
Yeah, coming in. So you know who knows what how much you can rely on him this year. And Chauncey Bowens is a bigger back as well. But Elo Mendoza, I think, is definitely the one that's the impact player that, like, according to everyone, like this was like the number one guy on Georgia's board when it came to the spring portal window. So being able to land him is massive because that was definitely a position of need. I think I saw he's got the same measurements as Azeez Ojulari. You know, that doesn't mean he's Azeez Ojulari, but I love me some Azeez Ojulari. That man, I think since that 2020 season, Georgia hasn't had like just a pure pass rusher. I think that's as good as Azeez Ojulari was. Really? Like Jalen Walker was obviously just like wreaked havoc, but he wasn't just that traditional pass rusher.
What about like
Ojulari?
What do you mean by like traditional? Because Nolan Smith was a great like speed rusher, and Trayvon Walker was just like an alien from another planet.
I guess just the guys that were just big time sacks guys. Like we haven't had just the big sack guy. Like and Ojulari just seemed like from day one, like he was just 2019 and 2020. He was a legit pass rusher.
Yeah,
I was Nolan Smith's best season. Like I think he was like 5 sacks or something his senior year before he got hurt. Like that was probably going to be his best season, sack wise. But he was never a huge sack guy.
No, he wasn't. Yeah, I mean Georgia hasn't had a real prolific pass rusher in terms of pure sack production since like Leonard Floyd, maybe. I mean,
Ojulari, maybe because like Lorenzo Carter was like, and Lorenzo Carter, Devin Bellamy, both solid.
Those were both some solid bookends. Because really, I mean, Georgia had the first overall pick in the draft at edge rusher, and he had like 4.5 sacks his senior year.
Yeah,
because it's like they just rotate so much. Same thing with like a Jermaine Johnson or a Michael Williams, who it's like
that's the other one I was going to say because Adam Anderson. Adam Anderson was that guy on the 2021 team before he got suspended and then kicked off. But so if Jermaine Johnson had been on that 2021 team, like I think he would have been the guy on that team. But yeah, Ojulari and Jermaine Johnson and Adam Anderson on that 2020 team, like that 2020 defense is so forgotten about because of what that team was on offense
too, because they really were crazy, man. At all 3 levels, they had guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were talking about that last week, but it's that was definitely the position that I was excited to see. Josh Horton, I'm not sure, you know, what to expect out of that guy exactly.
You need
but are there any more additions or departures that could happen at this point? I mean, there's a couple days left. I would think if you're gone, you would be gone by now.
Those are the new ones. I think Georgia's up to 9 now. Total, which is like not super high in the SEC. I think they're towards the middle of the pack in terms of transfers taken. So, yeah.
And lost 15 to the portal. And Michael Jackson was another one that just he's also going to go to Purdue.
Dude, they've had so many guys go to Purdue. Because Nyland Green went there, Nyland Morissette went there, and then
Yeah.
CJ Smith went there. So Tuggle now, like,
who went to Purdue? Is there some connection at Purdue? I'm not even aware of it.
Shoot, there is.
There's got to be, right?
I forget what it is, but there is a coach. That
a lot of wide receivers, so it has to be some kind of wide receiver coach, I would think. But yeah, that's nine guys they've gotten out of the portal, and 15 they lost the portal. So take that for what it's worth.